Hey everyone, welcome to AlignaTalks on July 8th, 2025. We're super excited. Sherry, welcome. Thanks for coming. Do you got a quick introduction of what this amazing event is all about?
Yeah, it's just your time to shine. It's your little mini TED Talk. You're going to either educate us, inspire us, without pitching, of course, just who you are. Let people know who the real human being is. And then we have 5 minutes. And then after all the speakers, we'll come back together for a whole group Q&A.
Yes, and if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. And then if we have time, and the speakers can answer in the chat, or we can um, do it live. So we're going to get started since we have some amazing speakers today. Our first one is on the screen. Let me get rid of me and Sherry real quick, and then let's Denise Davis get started. I met Denise. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I interviewed you on the member success series that we do every Wednesday, and she's so inspiring. So I cannot wait to see what's going on. Give me 1 second to get the timer ready. Are you ready, Miss Denise?
Yes.
All right, let's get this party started. Go ahead.
Peace, everyone. And that's how I greet the world, because at this particular time in life, that's what we need, peace. So again, as Sue say, I'm Denise. And what I'm going to speak about today, I enjoy that we are able to speak about our story because I love telling my story. I come from a family that we're storytellers. That's how we keep the lineage and the information about our legacy. That's how we keep it going. I was born and raised in the village of Harlem. People call it Harlem, but it's the village of Harlem. And before we had TV, I lived in an environment that was live and technicolor, meaning that in the village of Harlem, it was so many hues of color of people, clothing, stores, activities, and things of that nature. And when I was growing up, I was under the impression that I was poor because, to tell you the truth and being transparent, I didn't live in an apartment building, like in a whole apartment where I had my own room until I was 10 years old. However, never homeless, because in the village of Harlem, it was a lot of single women. And what occurred is that we lived in rooms within the apartment. So it was like that village concept. That's the concept that I was raised with, the village concept, the community concept. Again, I never seen eviction. I never seen homelessness in the village of Harlem. And I'm a 50s kid, just to date myself. However, what would occur is that if people got short with their responsibilities because employment was a challenge then, they would give parties. And at the rent parties, they would cook food. So this enabled people to come, donate, like GoFundMe and things of that nature that we have now. We did it back then. They would do the rent parties and do that. And people was responsible in that moment too. They didn't take the money and, excuse my language, French, and shit it up. They didn't do that. They did what they needed to do. And a lot of times they had extras. But the real beauty of this here was the men in our community. That's what I had an opportunity to see. Men step up and be responsible for women within the village just because they're single. And even within these parties here, women would cook. Now, back in my day, they had after hour spots. They still had a few speakeasies. However, they had after hour spots, and this would give the women an opportunity to cook at these rent parties. And one of the owners of the club would say, you know what? Let me just call her name, Lois. You know, your chicken is so good, girl. You need to come up on 132nd Street and serve this chicken here. And that would allow enterprising to begin. And I tell this story here because that's the experience part of it, but evaluating my experience. That is the key because we're taught. There's a myth that they say experience is the best teacher. Wrong. Evaluating the experience, pausing and walking through that experience again, and really taking out the nuggets that helps you to develop, evolve, and become who sits before you now. The village raised me in that manner. And then I had an opportunity to go to the Bronx. The village raised me. The Bronx groomed me because the Bronx is we became integrated. I don't even like the word, but that's the word that I'm going to use. We became integrated. So because in the village of Harlem, it was just us. And we had other teachers from different countries and things of that nature, and they lived in the community. However, being a part of Alignable and it's community oriented and everything that I do based on my evaluated experience, it's about connecting. It's about community. It's about communication. And these are the essence of what I was taught in the village of Harlem. I enjoyed that after school. I made it my business. I did homework in school. And when I got home, I finished it off because I was excited about somebody knocking on my mommy's door and saying, "Can Denise come outside and play?" I waited for that. I really enjoyed that. And even now in my business is community orientated and all the rest of that. But even when I'm talking to some of my partners and we just, chop it up and things like that, I just tag them and say, "Can we play tag? Can you come outside and play?" Those fond memories of my evaluated experience has allowed me to evolve in the woman that I am, that I'm able to migrate, relocate from New York City. And the adage is that if you could do it in New York City, you can do it anywhere. And that is the truth, because New York being the melting pot, evaluated experience. That means that I have all tools, have to polish some skills because you're going into a different environment each time that you move around. But I am well equipped to be successful and to really evolve and become all that I want to be. Stay focused, stay hydrated, stay your lane. You're not traveling alone.
All right, good job. I think you should do a TED Talk on expand that. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, so we're going to thank you so much. The next person that we have is Deb, right?
Yes.
All right, let's spotlight you. And are you ready? Go ahead and start when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. My name is Deb. I represent a company that's called LifeWave, and they create little phototherapy patches that stimulate the body's healing process. I'm a stage 3 cancer survivor, which means my boobs have been in more machines than a latte in Starbucks. But seriously, if surviving cancer were an Olympic sport, I'd have at least a silver medal and probably a few medical bills framed on my wall. That journey taught me more than I ever wanted to know about the medical system. But what it really taught me was how much power I had all along. When I was diagnosed, everything changed. Suddenly, I was an expert in biopsy reports, side effects, how to exit a room fast enough before the smell of food hit my nose, because if it did, I was guaranteed to get sick. But what hit me the hardest wasn't the diagnosis. It was realization that I had completely outsourced my health. I was doing what I was told, trusting the process, but forgetting to trust myself. I made a decision from that point on that I was going to become my own health CEO, which is great, except for the benefit package sucks and the HR department cries a lot. So today I want to talk to you about how you need to self-advocate for yourself. Less prescription pads, more asking questions. Ask yourself, what's this weird symptom trying to tell me? If I would have ignored what my body was telling me, I wouldn't be here today. You know your body, you own your body, so you can make the decisions about your body. Remember, your doctor is paid to help you make those decisions, not to tell you what to do. A few things you can start with. Blood tests. All your blood tests are on your patient portal. That portal allows you to look at all the past tests and compare them. Don't just assume that the doctor's going to do this for you. Review them, compare them yourself. A book called Good Energy by Casey Means is a must read. She walks you through step by step of what blood tests you should have done and what the results mean. Another thing, prescriptions. Question your doctor. Why am I on this prescription? How long can I expect to be on this prescription? What do I need to do in order to get off this prescription? Prescriptions equal side effects, which equal more prescriptions. Let that sink in. Prescriptions equal side effects, which equal more prescriptions. Now for medical testings. Question them. Question your doctor. Why are they running these tests? What are some of the other options? What will this test tell us? Now something we all enjoy, colonoscopies, right? I've had so many colonoscopies. I'm basically the queen of the throne and not the kind you wave from. The colonoscopy itself isn't bad. It's the prep work that makes you question every life decision that led you there. Each doctor office usually focuses on one prep drug because they get a kickback from prescribing that drug. For example, Go Lightly. It's this disgusting liquid that you have to drink 2 gallons of, and it personally makes me vomit. But every time I went to the doctor, they would prescribe me Go Lightly, and yes, they knew I would vomit. Not being a self-advocate at that time, I would just do what they said until I talked to my nurse practitioner daughter, and she told me that I could ask for another type of prep. So I did, and guess what? They prescribed me another different type of prep med, and I didn't vomit. Doctors aren't God, even though I thought they were. They don't go home with you at night thinking, what can I do to make Deb feel better? That doesn't make them bad though, because face it, they have a patient quota to meet. It's just how the world runs nowadays. That is just more of a reason to self-advocate for yourself. Here's the thing, if someone offered you a cup of liquid and said drink it, wouldn't you question what was in it? Your health is no different. Ask questions, research. If you have a doctor that won't listen, then change doctors. Learn to self-advocate so that you don't need a health crisis like I did to realize that it was my body and my decision. I've gone from being someone who saw a doctor like they were on speed dial to someone who hasn't had a cold or flu in over a year, and I don't get vaccinated. So if I leave you with anything today, it's this. Be curious, ask questions, trust your gut, never hand over your health without knowing exactly what you're getting in return. You'll see on my Alignable profile page that it says advocate for your own health. That's because if I can help even one person take control and prevent a serious illness, then I've done my job. Thanks for letting me share my story today and awkward jokes and all.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. You're my kind of people.
Yeah, you guys, I was thinking about you, Sherry, when you
I
were,
know, I'm
doing
just
that. You
like,
guys need to connect
I
for
got
sure.
goosebumps.
Awesome. I bet you did. That's why I wanted you to say something. Yeah, you two need to connect for sure. Hi, Michael. Our
Hello.
next speaker is Michael Bloomberg, and I go ahead and start when you're.
Okay, I'm ready. Welcome everybody to today's AlignaTalks. I remember my 20 years ago when I won my first six-figure consulting engagement. I was so happy, I was so excited that I rushed to call my father and tell him the good news. He, of course, congratulated me, told me I did a great job. He's proud of me, but he said, now go earn it. After all, that's what gurus do. And the reason why I called my dad, because he's more than just my father, he was my mentor and my boss. And his advice about earning the business, because that's what gurus do, formed the basis of me creating the Guru Marketing Framework, which I use for my own company to win business and that I teach and train other consultants and marketers how to use. It helps them go from being overlooked to being an authority. Let me tell you a little something about my dad. He wasn't really a luminary in his field. He was considered an expert in a couple of different industries. But the one thing I don't share with many people is I lived in his shadow. I was intimidated by him. He was such a great, large man, larger than life. Everyone in the industry knew who he was. I felt I couldn't fill his shoes. And I would often turn to him to seek his support and approval before I would even speak up in business meetings. One day he pulled me aside and he said, Michael, you've got the chops for this business as a consultant. But if you're really going to succeed at it, in that you need to get out from under my shadow. You need to develop your own voice. You need to become an expert in your own right. And I was kind of perplexed at the time. How was I going to do this? I was just a young kid in my late 20s, maybe my early 30s at the time. And then I realized something, that I had my mentor right here in front of me, my dad. And I looked at and studied what he did to win business. And he won business not by cold calling clients, not by using manipulated sales tactics, not by advertising, but by establishing credibility, demonstrating to his clients and his prospects that he knew as much as they did, perhaps even more, about the industries they were in, the markets they served, and how their business operated, and what was causing them challenges, and how he could solve it. And that formed the foundation of my Guru Marketing Framework, which is based on 4 pillars. The first pillar is knowledge creation, where you do research and you create knowledge and content to educate your clients and your prospects about what you know about their industry. The second one is called knowledge transmission, where you're taking this knowledge that you created, repackaging it, repurposing it into assets which educate, share your knowledge, and enlighten your prospects that you have the answer for them. The third pillar is knowledge integration, where you build the knowledge framework, the content you have, the knowledge, the expertise you have into your day-to-day operations so that every day you're educating and enlightening your market. And the last part is knowledge leadership. It's about you leaving a legacy in this world and finding your mission and helping your clients find their mission. And I found that that approach really worked for me. I started winning 5 and 6 figure consulting engagements. And then eventually I started teaching that to my clients and training my clients on how to use it. And they too have become very successful. So what did my dad teach me? He taught me that being a guru wasn't about yelling the loudest. It wasn't about being the loudest person in the room. It was about winning through building integrity and credibility by continuously delivering value to the market. And by using the 4 pillars to build authority of creation, transmission, integration, and leadership, you can do that too. You can go from chasing clients to be delivering value and building credibility to win business. You go from competing to leading and winning. Thank you.
Good job. Oh, wow. You beat your 5 minutes. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, how much did I have time that I have left? I have,
Yeah, I think it's, well, it was like 10 or 20 more seconds. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Michael. That was
You're
amazing.
welcome. Thank you.
Great
Awesome,
job.
awesome, awesome. Okay, Kermit is up. Here we go. Tell me when you're ready. Go ahead and just.
Hello, everyone. All right, are we good? My name is Kermit Jones, Jr. I was named after my dad, not the frog, although there is a club of us, of all the Kermits out there that exist. And so I've got a little bit of a weird history, and I wasn't exactly sure what to talk about today, so I just came up with 4 principles that I think have kind of really impacted a few things. The first one, I think, really highlights Alignable and what it can do, and that's show up to create value, not extract it. Most people, when they walk into a room, when they walk into an Aligntalk, is my first Aligntalk, the first person said, "We're here to get into each other's pockets," and that's not really why Alignable is there. I don't think. I mean, that's part of it, but it's the networking. And instead of asking like, "What can I get out of it?" or "Can I get attention? Can I make the sale?" When we approach life as value extractors, we often leave with this feeling of being empty or disconnected, which is ironic given the fact that we're in a smart connect, that we feel disconnected. But that's because that's very transactional. And instead, if we try to live in something called value creation mode, asking, how can I create value for the person in front of me? How can I figure out what their ideal client is? How can I make a recommendation? How can I introduce them to someone that's going to create value or impact? That mindset shift from value to creation, from value extraction to value creation is key and pivotal in making an impact on Alignable that lasts and building stronger connections. There's a great book out there called Remarkable. If you haven't read it, it's by Randy Ross and Dave Salyers, and I highly recommend because it talks about this thing. And that's one of the principles that I live by. Another one is I've been a Navy chaplain for several decades, and before I transitioned into coaching. And here's what I would say: expectations are toxic. When I talk to leaders and they say, "Oh, I make my expectations clear," I just look at them and say, "You suck as a leader," or at least maybe I don't say it quite like that. Maybe you're not the leader that you think you are. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have high standards, but think about what an expectation is. It's one-sided. It's very cowardly. It's an unspoken assumption about something that someone else should do, whether or not they've agreed to it. And think about every time your boss has brought an expectation to you without you having input, how do you feel? You feel resentment, you feel disappointment, you feel disconnection. Matter of fact, majority of people, when I ask them how many people actually meet your expectation, the answer is very few, maybe 1 out of 10. And so an expectation is really a predetermined disappointment. And when they do meet your expectation, we kind of have this slow clap. Congratulations, thank you for doing your job. So what's the alternative? If expectations, and by the way, I've yet to find a non-toxic expectation, the antidote is to lead with not with expectations, but to lead with agreements. That's the alternative. Agreements are two-sided. They require conversation. They require consent. They require commitment. They allow both parties to be involved. And then as a leader, we get to step in and say, hey, look, this thing needs to be done. This is the standard. What do you need from me as a leader to help you get there? It creates this partnership that allows people to build trust and to actually create things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do. So don't lead with expectations. Instead, have high standards and lead with agreement. You'll be amazed at the impact that that can have. And that comes to the next thing about leadership. When you're a junior officer and you walk into the CO as a chaplain, I'm an 03, I walk into the 06, and I have to say, sir or ma'am, you're doing it wrong. It's not a very fun place to be. And so what I've learned is that accountability requires permission. Almost every conflict that you have in life, I've yet to find one that isn't true. It's an attempt to hold someone else accountable, usually to an expectation that you have without an agreement, without their permission. And so what I would do is I would say, hey, sir, ma'am, if I ever see or hear something that doesn't align with your good leadership, do you want me to come say something? And they'd say, of course. And so then I just knock on the door and say, hey, sir or ma'am, remember when you told me to come and say something if I saw something? Like, I see this thing, it doesn't line up with who I think you're trying to be as a leader. What do we need to do to fix it? And so that would always create this permission to have accountability. And so that starts with what do I do? Well, I'm a business coach. I work with business owners to help them double their profits, but I can't just walk in and start pointing fingers at things. I have to walk in and gain permission from them to actually help them in what it is they're doing. And if you've ever heard Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, he says that people don't buy your what or your how until they buy your why. But the problem with that is this: it's incomplete. Because people don't buy your why until they buy your who. Who are you? Are you someone that I can trust? Are you someone that's trying to create value for me? Are you someone that is who you say you are? So don't start with why, start with who, and create value for the people around you.
Wow. Exactly. That was awesome.
Love
Yay.
it. Love it.
That was really, really good. Okay. Where's my list here? Thank you, Kermit. That was awesome.
We are at Elise.
Elise, there she is. Let me get her on the screen. Welcome, Elise. Just go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Hi everybody. I'm Elise Kabikoff. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit under the weather, so please bear with me. My alignable journey actually started when I was 13. Didn't know it at the time, but when I was 13, my mom taught me how to knit and crochet, and I learned how to sew in grade school. And I carried my love of crafts all through my lifetime. Always doing something. Basically, I was an overweight kid and I wanted to keep my hands out of the refrigerator. So I was always doing some kind of crafts. And in 2000, my mom came to visit and we were talking about all these designer sweaters I made myself and my husband. And she suggested I start a business. So I said, oh, okay. And I did. And it was, I didn't know anything about how to run a business. I didn't know anything about anything. But, I took my love of knitting, crocheting, and sewing, and I started a little business. And it was a side hustle from 2000 to about 2020 in November during COVID when I actually got laid off. And by that time, I had put my 50 years in working for other people and decided I was done and mentally had checked out. And my husband and I sat down and talked, and he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to see if I can do this full time. And so we did. And a few months after I became a solopreneur, I got an email from the Women Business Owners Group for a quick connect. They were called back then, called the Women's Power Hour. And I thought, oh, this could be interesting. And so I went to my first quick connect, and within 5 minutes, I found my tribe, I found my group, I found my ladies, and I found my home. And I had never been through any kind of community networking or anything like that. I didn't know anything about it. My first one-to-one was someone who had gone through my profile, told me it was good, but it needed some work, and had me write down everything I needed to do, which I did as soon as we finished the one-to-one. And throughout from there, I just grew. I have met some amazing, amazing people here who have been mentors and friends and sisters and have basically, picked me up when I've had one of those days where I just want to throw up my hands and quit, and have just given me all the support and love that I could have ever asked for. And so now it's basically 4.5 years later, and I'm now paying forward everything that I've learned through others on Alignable. And I can honestly say this platform has been a lifesaver for me as a solopreneur. Working from home, I know a lot of you probably work from home, you're alone all day long. And this way, with Alignable, you get to meet new people, you need to establish relationships, lifelong relationships, friends. And for me, it's just been amazing to pay forward and to keep giving and giving and giving and helping as many people as I can. FYI, the name of my business is Knit Me Sew Me. It's not a side hustle anymore. It's a bona fide business. I make everything with my own two hands. I'm thrilled to be able to create and not have to answer to anybody, and where the sky's the limit. And people have asked me for really interesting things, especially on Alignable. And I just finished something for someone else and working on something for someone else. But this is my home, and these are my people, and I absolutely love being here. I love giving, I love connecting, and I always offer to help. So if any of you need help with your profile or anything on Alignable, please contact me. Let's connect. And I am here to be of service to everyone. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and tell a little bit about my story. And I'm here to help. So please, let's get together.
Love it. Oh my God, you're amazing, Elise. Yay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, she
Rail.
is. I even have her AlignaTalks.
I love it. Okay, next up is Sunshower. I'm excited to hear what she has to say for us today. So go ahead and start when you're ready, Mindy.
Okay, I'm Sunshower Rose, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to chat with you today at AlignaTalks. My talk today will be called Riding the Wave, My Art and the Light Within. I'm Canadian born, and when I was 12, my family immigrated to the US. At about 13, my mother said, okay, you're off to typing 101, because she was so sure I'd become a secretary in my adulthood. Well, I had to take 2 classes. I chose art as my second class because all the kids said it was so easy. Well, my art teacher's powerful encouragement, which was this: I'll follow you around year after year through high school to make sure you continue art. Well, that statement has carried me all throughout my art career. My parents never supported my art choices, but I persisted. At age 30, I returned to school at Chapman University, Orange, California, receiving a bachelor's degree in fine art. And I was at the top of the class. Then I studied caricaturing, and to date, I believe I've drawn or digitally created over 250,000 faces. And I've drawn caricatures at many events, online as well as recently. I was at an event for a wedding reception, and that was just in the last few weeks. Well, let's go back to 1987, when I left California and moved to Sedona, Arizona, leaving behind my biological family. My daughter went off to college in Northern California, and I needed to discover more about who I am. I learned this word, multi-dimensional, which I began applying to myself. In 1988, I designed the official City of Sedona logo. And I actually became known in this area of Arizona. I played some very funny characters with a comedy troupe called the Vortex Players. I also began singing more publicly, even sometimes for hire at events. Well, back to the early 1980s, when I was still in California, I took a class called Automatic Writing, and I began receiving transmissions from my higher self. Art pieces began speaking to me whenever I would ask them to tell me about themselves. I know that sounds kind of strange, but the process is clairvoyant, clairaudient. Everybody's heard about clairvoyant, right? But the audible part, it's about hearing, not using the third eye to see. So my book, thanks to Sue Brook pushing me, is called Sun Showers Art Speaks, and it's now available on Amazon. And the images that you see rolling behind me are all from my book. I've had my share of personal adversity too in the 70s and 80s, difficult relationships whereby my daughter and I ended up in survival mode to the point of fearing for our lives. At my daughter's age of 13, I could see she needed major counseling. It was during that time where the truth tumbled out and I was reported as negligent, and I lost custody of her. I did win her back legally, but I never got her back emotionally. As of today, there's been no contact since 2008 by her choice. Back to 1987, the first year of my freedom, writings and dreams became a major compass for me. A recurring dream was I was riding the crest of a huge friendly wave. I was giddy with joy. And the writings from that time said that I would be helping people with their light bodies. And I'm like, what's a light body? Then I discovered that we all emit far infrared light connected to the light body reality. By the way, I'm also inspired by the holographic principle, so it all kind of works together for me. In 2001, I joined my first relationship marketing company based on health and wellness, and it focused on cellular level hydration. That dream I had in 1987, riding the wave, helping people with their light bodies, suddenly made sense. A full circle moment arrived. So let me summarize. My life's journey through my art, my inner guidance, and light technologies has blended itself beautifully, just as my dreams predicted. Thanks, I'm Sunshower Rose.
Yay, that was amazing. It's like I feel like I've known you for so long because of you come to our masterminds. I'm like, I didn't know all this stuff. This is amazing. Good job.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right. Now for our finale, our my co-host is Sherry Pedrioli, and I'm so excited to hear her story. I know a lot about Sherry because we're good friends, but yeah.
All right. And how do I follow all this? All right, so I'm going to take you back to, it was October 8th, 2017. It was the Tubbs fire in Sonoma County. I had just returned from a personal development journey. I was so excited to finally, after all these years, take control of my life, figure out who I was, discover what my true purpose was. But within hours of coming home, life threw me kind of, you could say, back into that flight or fight mode. And that's a place where I lived most of my life. Hence, I was going to this personal development. From my bedroom window, I started seeing a glow over the mountains. And I thought to myself, you know, I heard we've got fires, but we're fine. We're in a subdivision. We're fine. We're not in the mountains. I was wrong. Within an hour, I was grabbing my animals, my mom's ashes, the clothes on my back, and I was fleeing. Basically in the dark, I had debris hitting my windshield. Traffic wasn't moving. So here was another moment, fight or flight. I was stuck and I was certain I was going to die. And I even called some loved ones, my mom, or my dad and my daughter and son. And I just said, I'm not going to make it, guys. I love you. And that's when I started to pray and scream and begging my mom, who had just passed months before, to help me find a way out. I did not want to die in this fire. And then I saw an opening in the road and I veered off and I made my own lane. That choice didn't just save my life, it opened the path for others to follow behind me and escape too. That next morning, I stood in what was left of my house in smoldering ashes. What used to be my home. One of my cats was gone. I got 4 of my animals. One was missing. We'd never found her. All of my children's keepsakes, my mom's stuff that I had just brought home months before, But really I had lost my identity. I didn't even know who I was. And at that point, again, I was screaming, and it was, yeah, I was mad at God. I was like, why did you do this? What am I supposed to do now? I have no idea who I am. I have nothing. And then I sat there in silence, and something told me, it's like, it was, think about who you are, Sherry. Who are you really? And deep inside, I knew who I had always been. But again, I wanted to go to personal development. I was that little girl on the playground who used to tell people that she was a healer like her Indian medicine men grandfathers. I had buried that part of my past beneath titles, being something for everybody else instead of me, carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. But in those ashes of my home, I started to remember who I was. And it was 2 months later, I helped with an amazing team of people that I collected to help put on a Sonoma Strong Healing Fair for people hurting just like me, who lost everything, who were grieving, but they were ready to rise just like the Phoenix, just like I was. So that spark reignited my passion for human connection, for healing, for gratitude, for walking beside others, not above them. And since then, I've gone back and I've continued the deep inner work, peeling back lots of layers, not just as a business owner or a mom or a wife or a daughter, but really asking myself again, who am I really and why am I here? To discover what my purpose was back in 2017. And here's what came again is the answer is I believe I'm someone who has chose to live a balanced life of freedom and abundance while I get to honor myself, while I get to impact the lives of others. And here's what I learned. What's missing in most people's lives and in most businesses isn't any system or strategy or even a secret formula. It's human connection. It's gratitude. It's seeing people for who they are, not for what they do. The thing I discovered was the fire, the real fire was not outside of me, it was inside of me. And all of this had lit that path to discover who I am today. So now I get to walk beside others. I get to help them remember their story. I get to reconnect the missing pieces, to heal, to rise. And that's why I'm here today and proud to say that I am a gratitude and relationship marketing consultant. But more than that, I'm someone who sees you. I get to help you see you again too. Because you have a story, you've got scars, you've got things that have silenced you, you have pieces that of your puzzle. So together we discover your purpose. Oh my goodness, 5 minutes is fast. You're muted, Sue. Sue, you're muted. Where'd she go?
I was talking and talking and talking.
I know, where are you? I don't even see you.
I'm going to get everybody who is the speaker on here. Thank you, Sherry. That was really good. That was really, really good. All of you were really good.
It's
All right.
really hard because we all have so many parts of our stories. And it's like, you do what? Centaur, you do what? Elise, you do what?
Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm going to get everybody on the screen. Michael, I don't see your face. Are you with us here?
Michael is not on camera. There he is.
All right.
Okay.
Great. Gotta go. Oh, you got it.
He's here. I got him.
What am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nobody?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Questions. Raise your hand. If you guys can just go down to the react button, and you guys who are on the screen, you could ask the other speakers questions too if you want to, but go to the react button and click raise hand. Who has questions for these amazing speakers? What a great job you all did. Everybody's quiet. No questions? Oh my gosh.
Just trying to process it all, right?
I know. That was like inspiration on steroids, you guys. Wow. So
Sunshower's got her hands up.
okay, go ahead, Centaur.
I want to commend Denise. Denise, I never knew about Harlem. I've only heard the term, figured it was all Black folks. Now I know it's all kinds of colors and what you went through and how you survived. And look at you blossom right here on Alignable. Good for you, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
I agree. I just loved the color part. That was so cool. Denise, you have your hand up.
Yes, Sherry, now I really understand and can receive your essence on a whole different level based on the card that you sent me. Here it is. My eyes get full when I see this, when I say this here. Her and I have never connected on Alignable. However, because I was coming a part of this here comes a beautiful digital card that touched me. The words were so welcoming. And I thank you. And I need to say, sister friend, I love you, girl.
Love you too. Amazing story. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Shonda, you have a question.
Yeah, I just want to say I loved hearing everybody's story, and it just made me think of that you guys are so authentic, and I appreciate that because we live in a world that is not authentic, and so kudos to you guys. You're great. Thank you.
I love it. I would love to hear from anyone else. Who else has a question or a comment?
I think Calais. Is it Calais?
Yep.
Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, everybody. I'm Calais. I just have to share that some of your stories have really, really touched my heart. Today was the first time I've attended a talk like this, a 5-minute TED talk. And, it is so good to listen to people and business owners and how much they've overcome. And there's a word that I like to describe 3 people on here today. Well, 4, in fact. I think the 4 ladies. And the word that comes to my mind, if I were to describe all 4 of you, would be resilience. You guys have been through so much and you've come out on top. And that shows me, and I'm sure it resonates with other members on this platform, that no matter what comes your way, we can overcome everything. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm so appreciative and grateful. Sherry, I need to connect with you regarding gratitude, that we have this platform for all of us to share and grow. So well done, guys.
Thank you.
Agree.
That's a powerful word. Resilience is very powerful. And I have to second that. I see that. And there was something I learned about you, Sunshower, that I didn't know. And we've talked many times. And yeah, resilience.
And that's what I kind of saw with all of you guys, a commonality with relationship and caring and helping other people. And I love that. I just love that with all of you. Michael, is interesting about your dad. I think that's really a great thing to think about. That what got me about your talk was that your dad actually had the vision to say, you need to go be your own person and not live in my shadow. That's what got me about your talk, I think. Denise, the colors and all that was so cool. I mean, all of you did so good. Sherry, I already know her story, but the way you told it today was really, really powerful. Elise, I know Fran, if you and Fran, I don't know if you two chatted, because my friend Fran here used to make a lot of stuff, jewelry and things like that. I feel like you guys have a lot of things in common, but just the fact that you get to create things and share them with other people, I just love that part. All of you guys, let's see where I'm on a screen with everybody.
And then Kermit.
Oh, Marla,
yeah.
Go ahead, Marla.
Yeah, hey everyone. You all did such a great job, and I just love hearing stories. That's what you want to hear, right? Not just teaching us something, but through storytelling. And just a couple of shout outs. I mean, Deb, the fact that you use humor and when you're talking about something so devastating and so, difficult and sensitive, I always tell people the more serious your topic is, the more funny you need to be about it, which seems counterintuitive, but, and you had some great jokes too. They were funny. So I just loved it. And yes, Michael, talking about your dad, I mean, fathers and sons, we don't hear enough about fathers and sons. And I think we need to hear more of those stories. And Denise, yes, people misunderstand a lot about Harlem. So I love that you were able to, really tell your personal story about that. And Sunshower, I love how you used your artwork because you were showing us, not just telling us. I mean, those images were amazing, just amazing. Yes. And Kermit, oh my gosh, your energy is just contagious. So I just love the way you presented. And Sherry, uh, I survived the Marshall Fire in Colorado, where there were 1,000 homes that were lost all around me. And because of the way the wind jumped the fire, houses were, burned to the ground next to houses that were fully standing. And it was really difficult during the evacuation because it sucked. It was a terrible evacuation. We were stuck. I didn't know if I was going to make it. And the way you added pictures to what you said, not just the emotion, like, the debris hitting your windshield, things like that, just really put me in the story. In fact, I teared up, and my mom had passed a few weeks before this fire happened to me. And so to talk about your mom, and oh my gosh, it was, really, really connected me. So thank you for that. And yeah, Elise, I love that, you knew what you wanted to do when you were 13 or 6, I mean, that's just amazing. And how because for a lot of people, they think they want to do something when they're young, but then they say, but that's not a real job. So I love your story of how you made your love of what you do happen. That was amazing. So thank you all.
Uh, for sure. I also wanted to say, Kermit, you're just such a fun. If you guys haven't seen his interview that we did, was it last week? It was so good, and you're just so much fun. And you've only been on Alignable for a short time, so I really appreciate sharing your how to really do well in not only in business but on Alignable as well. That was really, really fun to listen to too. So, all of you guys. What else? Any other comments from the crowd? Anybody else get something out of this or was touched by someone's story? Oh, Deb, go ahead.
I just think it's amazing that it takes, for most of us here, it takes something drastic to get us to go to that next level. I was living a happy life. I thought my life was perfect. Before I found my cancer, the doctors didn't find it. I didn't. I literally should not be here because it was stage 3. It was aggressive. The doctor told me when he finally confirmed I had cancer that if I hadn't found it myself, they would have never found it. I would have been dead. So as much as I was mad at God for doing this, I missed my daughter's senior year of high school because I had to move away to get chemo and radiation. I was so mad, but then now I always say things happen for a reason, and I hate that saying that to people, but it really is true. I can look back now and see why cancer was put in my life. I'm a better person than I was before cancer, and if that's what I got out of cancer, it was well worth going through the hell. I just wish cancer on my worst enemy.
Wow.
And can I just tell you guys one thing, just a tidbit? If you ever meet someone with cancer and you say, well, how long have you been in remission, or how long ago was cancer? Please, please, please don't say, oh, good, you're in remission, you won't get cancer again. That is like the worst thing you could say to a cancer survivor, because we're never out of the chance of getting cancer. If you ask any oncologist that was brought up by someone, but we are never, every day I think about cancer and when it's going to sneak up, because more than likely it will. So just, if you have a heart, don't ever say that to a cancer survivor. You think it's a good thing to say, but it's not.
Wow, good advice. Sherry, you have a
Yeah,
question?
I want to kind of chime in on that. And that's true with anything. And I've told Sue this story before. It's like when people came up to me after the fire, you know, losing everything, I lost my mom to cancer. I too have been a huge advocate. I've spoke to doctors and practitioners all around the world since 2008. So I'm a big advocate for alternative health. But that's the one thing that drives me crazy. It's like people would come to me and they go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry you lost your house in the fire. I know how you feel." And I'm like, "Oh, you lost yours too?" And they're like, "No." And I just wanted to choke them. It's like, are you serious? I'm in this place right now and you're telling me it. So it's the same thing with the cancer or whatever is going on in your life. And we do grow from all this. And I look at every single thing. This is a very small smidgen of my life. If you were to hear my whole story, you would wonder how I'm even alive today. So I shouldn't be here today. But because of all my experiences, you know, it's like I've learned that these are all lessons and to look at them as a good thing. I just had a friend write a book on a good kind of cancer.
Wow.
Fran just helped her publish that book.
What's the name of it?
It's A Good Kind of Cancer.
Sorry.
She wrote that book and people are like, "Are you crazy for writing that?" She's like, "You haven't been in my shoes." And we are not in each other's shoes, so we don't know. So I love these talks and I love how we get to learn more about each other on a very deep level.
100%. Denise.
Oh, shoot. I got
Yes,
somebody.
kind of like piggyback on what everybody is saying. And that's why my topic was evaluated experience, because just like speaking about cancer, I watched my youngest son close his eyes. I escorted my mother to the door of light. I found my grandmother on the floor in the house that I was raised in. And every time when that occurred, people would say, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss." And my response is, don't be sorry, because I'm not, because I evaluated the experience of the time that they was granted here, the gifts that they left here. So that's what I get into. That's why
Wow.
evaluated experience is so key, because experience will keep you in the pain.
I
That's where the
love
pain lies, in the experience. When you evaluate it, you get that value, those tools to connect and things like that.
100%. I wanted to mention I really love that, because I will be doing my Aligner talk very soon as well. And it's all about that's exactly how I feel. Every crappy thing that's ever happened to me in my life has turned out to be the best thing, even the worst of the worst. So, Raquel, you had your hand up a couple of times. Did you still have a question or a comment?
Oh, yes, thank you. I just wanted to say I logged on today and I had no idea what to expect, but I'm walking away moved, inspired, and in tears, but in a good way. So thank you for having me, and I'd love to return to this platform for sure.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm so glad you were here. I did post a link for everyone if you want to apply to be in one of the next speakers. We don't have the date quite yet. Oh, it's coming up. It'll be in a few weeks. But go ahead and apply and we'll reach out to you. Fran, last question before we wrap it up. Or comment.
Okay. I enjoyed everybody, absolutely everybody. I just love to hear stories. They're just so meaningful to get to know somebody. My question is to those that have been, quote, survivors, or anybody that has any input on this. When somebody tells you their story, what is a good comment to make? Regardless, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," or like, "That's too bad." What, from your opinion, would be a nice comment to react to? Because you're obviously sorry and you don't want to hear the person having gone through that, but what do you think?
Kermit said it on the chat. I love that, Kermit. I can only imagine how you must be feeling.
Okay.
That's actually good, Kermit, because you're basically saying, I don't know what you're feeling, but I've said to people many times, I have no idea what you're feeling, but I'm sorry. And is there anything I can do to help you or be there? Or if you ever need to talk, I won't try to solve your problems. I'm a good just listener and you can bounce things off of me.
Yeah, I agree.
And when it comes to grief, I usually say celebrate the life.
Oh, that's good.
Celebrate the life.
That's really good.
I love it. Awesome. Anybody else a last minute? I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. If you were here, please apply to be one of the next speakers. We will have the date set in the next couple of days. Did everybody get something wonderful out of today? Even one little bit of inspiration from our amazing speakers? This was one of our best ones. This was really, really good. Thank you guys so much. Have a really beautiful day, and I will be sending out the replay very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Have a
Bye.
good. Bye.